Hi everyone, this is Daria. Welcome back to my channel. This is the first new video I'm making in 2024. Happy New Year to all of you. I hope this year brings you joy, happiness, and peace for everybody in this world. Today I'm going to be making another video covering a few more exercises from this book. A few of you have asked me to continue posting some exercises to help you follow along with the book. I'm happy to do that for you. And today's set of exercises will be from page 15, 16, 17. And those are wrist exercises. I'm going to turn my other camera on. Some of you have also been telling me to get the overhead view. So hopefully this new equipment I got will help with that. Exercise 1 on page 15, wrist exercises. You can all read along what it asks you to do, but I'm going to just demonstrate. So it's a simple exercise only for the third finger for the beginning. At the end of it, you can actually do it with every single finger if you like. That's actually even encouraged if I was the teacher. So we're going to go down with wrist and then up. And then we're going to repeat the same thing. And then we're going to go to the next note and do the same thing. Very simple. This exercise targets, again, the wrist movement, and a very simple one, just down, up. But the intention here is to go up with initiated from the wrist. So you have to go up from here. The movement is initiated from here, right? And to ensure that, if you're struggling, if you see yourself doing something like this is not really releasing. Why do we have to learn this? It's because this helps you release the tension. If you have anything, so this, something here is working, right? When we need to keep your hand in that shape and give the weight to the key, our finger is doing some work, so some muscles are tense here, and then to release that tension so we don't build it up and our hand doesn't become completely stale, we need to ensure we release. And this micro release is just the beginning of you learning how to do that, right? So, and that has to happen from the wrist. So if you notice yourself doing this, you can help by either pulling from above, from the wrist, for example, right now, and then I'm going to pull up, right? Up, and then up. Or you can go from below. Kind of press here, and then it goes up. Kind of feel, and this is the right position where wrist is facing up, fingers are facing down. You don't have to go too far from the key. You can stay very close or even on the key, going up, and so on. Left hand can do exactly the same thing, except for the left hand, it says here that the most comfortable position would be about 2 octaves below. And the reason why, if you do it right here in the same space, your elbow is almost touching your stomach, and it's not the most comfortable. The more comfortable position for your elbow is right here, so you have space to maneuver, and you can just do it right here. So 2 for each, sorry. I don't have to say too much why it has to be finger 3 in the beginning, but generally remember finger 3 is right in the middle. It keeps the balance of the hand, and it also keeps the shape of the hand, because if 3 is in the right, good curved position, then the other fingers, you can see that they automatically also become well-behaved. As I teach my kids, not my kids, kids I teach, I tell them well-behaved, right? So this is the position you like. And then the third finger is one of the strongest fingers in your hand, besides the thumb. So that's why 3 is most important to start with. Then you can also do it simultaneously. If you adapt to this kind of motion, feel free to do this. All right, the next variation here is same thing across an octave. An octave is a distance between 2 keys with the same name, either above or below. So C to C is 1 octave, or in other words, 8 steps. Okay, so C to C. Same, up, down, down, up, and then I move sideways. You notice how I kind of start initiating the sideways as I go up. So it's like a gradual down, small side, and then this way. See, I'm exaggerating a little bit what I'm doing. Now I'm going to do it without talking. I'm going to do it with the left hand so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to do it here. and so on. So you notice how my wrist was slightly moving sideways as it was going up. So that's efficiency of movement. You would combine the up movement with a little bit of sideways, already going to the side. So your transfer across the keys is faster. Now, with regards to dynamic with which you should play that, there is no specific indication. I would just say somewhere around mezzo piano, mezzo forte, so medium dynamic. So whatever happens to be the sound that comes out when you fully give weight, you don't have to do it on purpose loudly, really strike the key with a lot of force, but you also shouldn't be too timid with your sound, because if you have sound like this coming out, especially in the low register, like that, that mostly indicates that you're not really releasing all the weight here, and you're not really giving the full weight to the key, and you're being stingy with your sound. And you also have to try to involve more weight transfer and to ensure that you're actually giving the weight before you release it. Right? So otherwise, if we don't give the weight, then we also accumulate it right here, right? So we have to give and to release. So we have to full circle, give, release, otherwise leads to tension. Now for exercise B, it's the same thing, except with double stops, thirds in this case. A third is an interval between two notes. It's 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, so here. And pretty comfortable is 2 and 4 because they're right in the middle, so 2 and 4 it is. So 2 and 4. Again, same idea, wrist goes up and fingers are facing down. Now, notice how I will demonstrate something for you. My fingers, the other fingers that I'm not playing, are actually quite relaxed. So if you do whatever, you can do whatever you want with these fingers. They're just noodles. Again, kids term. Same thing here. If you notice yourself doing something like this, that means they are also doing work that they shouldn't be doing. Only these 2 fingers should be working. I know it's difficult, especially in the beginning, to play a double stop and only engage these fingers. Most likely you will have either thumb sticking out or pinky. So just pay attention to that and try to brush it off and just kind of keep it in the same. And try to check yourself. Can you do that? Will it fall? It's like falling with your arm, right? So if your arm is not doing anything, it should fall. Same with the finger. If it should kind of bounce back, right? So this hand now, same thing across an octave. And so on. You can here. Yeah, if you keep doing it, you can do it across a large distance. I mean, across a big area. But if you feel like you're going too far here with the elbow, just go back here. You just get used to this down up. And you don't need to do it every single day for a month. Maybe do it for a week until you get really comfortable, and without thinking, you're doing exactly the right thing. You just learn. It becomes second nature. I keep telling it from video to video about a movement or gesture becoming second nature, but this is what the goal is for these exercises. You don't have to play them forever, only until you assimilate the movement. Okay, now the C variation is the same thing. I'm gonna show 2 hands at the same time just to save time. And you can actually do that too. So 2 and 4. And moving different directions. If you do 2 hands at the same time, I do encourage you to do it in opposite direction, just because it's just more balanced. So both of your hands in a mirror move same exact way. Because if you do it this way, one is slightly more advantage than the other, because the left hand, for example, elbow keeps moving closer to your stomach, but the right hand is quite comfortable. You can also try to make them comfortable by spreading them around more. So like this, for example. But it's a little bit harder to watch out for both of them for gestures, because it just spans a larger area. But do it your own way, however you want. But this is the idea. Again, don't go too far. But this exercise also teaches you to quickly relocate to the nearest key, right? With 2 fingers. You just kind of keep that position. Your finger memorizes what it is to span a third between those 2 fingers, and then you relax them, and then you immediately find that position again. It's not like you have to, don't do this, because this is against what we want here, and we want to release and relax. And then we reposition again. Quickly find your form again. All right, number 2. I have 2 options for you for this one. It tells you to cross hands, yes. So left hand does this, and the right hand does this, and then left hand has to play here. What it tells you to do is left hand should move under the right, so something like this. And the other option that I actually like more is to do the opposite. Left hand goes across over the right hand. For 2 reasons I like it more, because 1, it gives you more freedom. It's flows the gesture. It's just more natural. Generally, I found it more comfortable when I cross hands. The hand that needs to move goes above, and the one that needs to stays below. So moving above is easier than moving below most of the time. So this is why I find it more natural. And another thing is, then if you do it simultaneously, like legato, where you connect. So when you go down here, it's a matter of your coordination. So you go down on this, and as you start going up, at the same time, right hand goes down. Right, so this kind of thing. So you have, and then the opposite. See, for this one, if I go under, I have to go up and then down. So I don't have that smooth up and down movement. I'm going to show one more time what I mean by that. So. Wait, sorry. And so on. You notice sometimes I do a little bit of what I encourage you not to do is the sliding, but I do the sliding because I need to get out of the way. So here, it's because if my arm is right here, I'm colliding with my left. So if I go here, it's easier for me to release, right? So I kind of release here. So that's why I'm doing a little bit of sliding. All right, the next, number 3, is very, very, very important. This exercise begins to teach you how to combine multiple notes that are repeated under one gesture of your hand. So instead of, you can see that there's a third repeated 4 times. So you can play as many notes as you want instead of doing individual gestures for each of them, which will tire you out pretty quickly, and you want to conserve energy. The more you play, the more you will learn that the more difficult the pieces are, you will be striving for just that 1 millisecond of rest for your hand that you could allow yourself. And this is what teaches you, again, to find points of rest, is to combine the 3 notes here with the arrow going up. You have to gradually raise your wrist from the bottom up. So down on the first note, down, gradually up, and then down on the last one. Right? So you could play all 4 on one if you wanted. But for this exercise, it's also very important to quickly change direction. So go, and then again. Not only are you changing direction from up, down quickly, but you also from relaxed going into the position of being, using your fingers and using your muscles. So let's say tension, but it's not really tension. It's just toned, I guess. Toned or work. in a working position. Let's say working position versus relaxed position. So I'm going to show individual hands first. So you're going to go one more time. Movement for 3, you have one gesture down, gradually up, and for the 4th one, down. And on the rest, I go up. Next one. Right? And then I'll do the same thing in the left hand. First down, and then so I hope you understand what's going on. Is I'm going down and then gradually each of them puts my wrist slightly higher. Not my fingers. You can't do it with your fingers because I mean you can go higher each time, but that's not what we want, right? We want the wrist. Again, same idea with helping yourself from underneath or from above if you can't quite get that. But this exercise is number 3. So hopefully by the time you arrive to number 3, you've already understood how to initiate that without extra help from the wrist, right? So here we go. And I've showed you a little bit differently each of them with the array of how deep, how low you can go on the first and how high you can go on the last. It doesn't matter as much. You can try both ways. You can go really deep on the first one and then really high. It is actually easier to understand the gesture when you do exaggerating everything. I think you already noticed that about my style of teaching. To really make sure my point gets across, I like to exaggerate everything at first. And then you can then make it smaller and smaller each time. So, and at the end, you can really do it minimally. So barely. And so on, right? And the difficulty here again is the coordination between the two of them, because one of them has to go one gesture, like a longer gesture, and the other one just down, right? If it helps you in the beginning, you can also prolong that lift in the hand that plays just one note. So they kind of also go at this gradual pace up. So gradually, not. You don't have to do that drastic, just up. Suddenly, you can help yourself, whatever you need to get this coordination right. Now, the same idea with the 6s. I'm going to just quickly now show both hands together. A 6, again, is an interval between 2 notes. It spans 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why it's called a 6. And you use finger 1 and 5 for that interval. If you're doing different finger combinations, I recommend skipping a note, skip a finger, right? So if you have a skip here, it's a third. It's either 1, 3, 2, 4, or 3, 5. I hope that makes sense. Now, the B modification is very similar. It's the same amount of notes, 4 of them, but the rhythm is slightly different and you have an added accent. So on that accented note, you can go ahead and go lower on the wrist if you like. That helps. Another way to ensure an accent is to make sure your fingertip is attacking very strongly. Like make sure your landing is very precise. It's like a little bit faster landing on the key. An accent is just an emphasis on a note compared to others. So this is an accent and this is note. It's not just how loud it is. It's also that attack, how the matter of attacking. That's why I'm talking about that initial attack of the note being very strong. Because just forte would be could be, and this is the accent. I hope you notice the difference. Okay, so here we go. And in this one, you can notice that perhaps your initial up movement will be a little bit faster on the longer note. You'll go a little higher, and then a little more gradual on the two smaller notes. So, which is normal because you bounce up, and then if it's difficult, what you can do is you can, I'll show you with the six, the same thing. First, go down on the accented note, and then come back with the wrist to the initial position, and then go up from there. So that kind of two-step, down, up, and then more up. And then eventually you will erase that gradation of the first and then the second. So, and so on. 3, number C. This one is a little bit more challenging. It has an extra note. It has different rhythm, and it has legato. So rhythm is left hand. So what happens is you stay down on the first note, and then you start kind of the 3-note combination from down also. And then eventually you go up on it. And the last note goes down again. So you have 4 notes on the same down-up gesture. 1 long one, and then 3 short ones. But there's still one gesture. Right? I'm putting this hand over for you to identify that I'm actually gradually going up. I'm not going down again. So, right? Now the trick here is the legato part. You would probably say, how can a legato, which means connect smoothly, the note that is the same? You have to rearticulate that key for it to sound again. Yes, that's right. So there is a little bit of a trick that we do. We don't release the key completely. To make it legato, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in the left hand here. So see what happens? I don't really let it disappear all the way, so I don't go up here for the sound to completely go away. I'm going to stay deep enough to connect it with the residue of the previous sound. And with each stroke, I'm getting slightly higher and higher with my wrist. Right hand same. So here, what I'm pressing with, I'm only really working with the fingertip to make that legato. If the legato part is really difficult for you and you find yourself struggling, don't worry about the legato. Just make sure that you have one gesture. Even if it's not legato, if you're lifting, just make sure you don't lift off the key. So stay on the key. That would be sufficient enough. And the same thing with the 6s. All right, we have next exercise, number 4. Lift from the wrist during the rest. It is often useful to practice the top or bottom note of a passage alone. So this is an introduction to the next one, number 5, which has 3 notes, which is a chord now. And it is generally a great strategy to, if you have doubles or triple stops, to practice one of the notes in connection to the next one of those two notes or three notes, right? So in this case, we have the initial exercise we have here is 1 going to 5 across an octave, and 5 back to 1. Lift from the wrist in the wrist, right? And again, you notice I lift up and slightly sideways to be efficient. Left hand, same thing. And I hope I don't need to emphasize again how important it is to really keep your finger shape curved and the fingertip to go down straight like this, not like this is okay, but as long as you don't end up with this situation. As soon as this occurs, that is bad and you have to fix it to go like this. Try to train your finger to go straight down. If not, at least like this. This is fine. There is a technique where people play with straight fingers. It's totally fine. It's harder. It's possible. And sometimes it's not that we always play with this. Obviously, with different touche, different types of sound, we change the position of fingertip all the time. But this is just a general good habit to develop right away, because this is one of the hardest things to start doing as a piano player, is to actually keep your fingertip from doing this. So just reminder. So here we go. The left hand does the same thing. Lifting from the wrist. You can do it here if you want more room. And so on. And then the 3-note exercise where you have it here. This is one of the few times where you allow yourself to hang your thumb instead of putting it here. In the previous exercises, I was actually doing that slightly too. You notice that my thumb sometimes was hanging. It is to ensure that I'm really, really relaxed. And in that position, thumb is definitely relaxed. It's more likely to be relaxed here than it is here, because usually then it ends up sticking some out to some side. So basically, that's all right if you want to hang the thumb. Keeping it here, it's best, but if you can't, drop. So what we're gonna do is fall from the high wrist higher, so here. You're going to fall down with wrist falling as low as possible, right? And feeling the weight of the arm. This is the key here, right? And I try to hold on to the key with the curved finger. If you can't, if you only do it like this, that's fine, that's okay. So now I'm gonna just show you how it's supposed to go. Let's start with the right hand. So yes, you're gonna have to cross your body slightly. Here you go, 2, 3, and 5 for the right hand. Next one. You can do it much slower. Let's do it slower. See how the thumb is hanging? It's fine, as long as you see what's happening here. I'm really not having any tension in the wrist. You can check yourself by doing these circular motions while hanging on to the cord. It is hard. It's not an easy task, but try to do it at least a couple of times without doing this, because this means I can't really move my wrist. This is not movement up and down. This is choking your hand, right? This is what you want. You want this relaxed kind of movement, right? So basically, from the beginning, once more. And so you understand the structure is just a third plus a fourth. This is what you have. And then you find the same combination in the next octave. And then again. And then you take the same combination, move it up a step. Same position, third and the fourth. And going down an octave, the same position. Or you can just remember which notes you're playing. I'm playing F, A, D. I'm going to take the F, A, D here. And again, once I lifted my hand, I'm no longer holding this. I'm no longer having to retain this position. I need to relax. I need to drop. Relax. You can check by doing this. And then I need to reassemble myself into this position again. Right? Sorry. loud. It's totally okay. It's good if it's loud. It's better than if it's soft, right? So that means you're really giving. Left hand. You can move the left hand down here for it to be more comfortable. So you cross just a little bit across your body, just slightly. It's a different finger combination. It's 5, 4, 2. Right hand we have 2, 3, 5, and a 5, 4, 2. You can regulate, see, I missed a little bit. You can regulate from which height you are able to fall. It doesn't have to be too far, because if you go too far, you might hurt yourself, so be careful on that. So as you go down, just right before the fall, just slightly ensure that you are landing on the right keys. Don't just like slap it on, because that might hurt. Right? And then I might have lost my pattern, but you get the idea. You can also try it where you can cross the hands the same way we did before. You can do this. And so on. I hope that this video helps a lot of you to go through the book easier, and let me know if there are any particular number of exercises that you want me to show to demonstrate from the book. You can go ahead and leave the comment below, please. I'll be happy to read it. And that way I can maybe accelerate towards those exercises and record a couple of videos for you, because otherwise I'll just keep going in order. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye.